Welcome to distinguished guest, Judge Pillay, my bosses, the Dean, Prof. Elsabis Kuman, Deputy Dean, Prof. Charles Maimela, our honorees, Makue Caroline Letsualo, Zenia Pero, and Sohiela Suraj Pal. Ladies and gentlemen, and the non-binary in the audience, good afternoon and welcome to the bestowment of the 2021 National Yunus Mahomed Award, Public Interest, Law, Business, and Ethics to 3 of the University of Pretoria Law Faculty's 3 alumni, Caroline, Zenia, and Suhela. My name is Ntombizozgo Gyani Mhango, also known as Zozo, a professor and head of Department of Public Law. But my role here today is to be the program director of this important and special event to celebrate our students and to tell them how proud we are of them for putting up the UP law flag out there. Let me tell you a bit about this award. The Yunus Mahomed Public Interest Award, Law, Business, Ethics. Its purpose is to encourage and reward students' engagement in public interest, law, business, and ethics through offering writing prizes at each participating university, as well as an annual national prize. This award promotes clear, coherent, concise, and precise writing. The 4 participating universities are University of KwaZulu-Natal, University of Pretoria, University of Cape Town, and University of the Free State. UP was fortunate to have 2 winners this year. I'll tell you about the 3rd one in a little bit. The first award went to Sohila for the article titled "Dismantling the Status Quo, Prohibiting Unfair Discrimination on the Grounds of Poverty under Capitalism." And a joint paper was written by Mankue, or Caroline, and Zenia titled "Historically White Universities and the White Gaze, Critical Reflections on the Decolonization of the LLB Curriculum." So this is a joint award that is given to Caroline and Zenia. Caroline was at the University of Free State when she co-wrote this article, and Zenia was at UP when they wrote it. So in a way, we can say that we have 3 awards for University of Pretoria, since Caroline was also our LLB student before she joined University of Free State. So we are so fortunate. Both articles were published in UP's law student flagship journal, the Pretoria Student Law Review, in 2020. Without wasting any time, let me briefly introduce our distinguished guests. So here, and I forgot to say protocols observed because I'm not sure who else is in the audience, but all protocols are observed when it comes to our distinguished guests. But this particular distinguished guest that I'm going to introduce here is Judge Daya Pillay, who is a defender of human rights and an expert in labor law, and she is the founder of this award. She is the judge of the High Court in Pietermaritzburg and Durban, and she is the extraordinary professor at the University of Pretoria. Before this, she was a judge of the Labour Court of South Africa for a decade. She is an admitted attorney since 1982, and she has been an activist fighting for political detainees, specializing in human rights and administrative law. And after turning to labor law and industrial relations, Judge Pillay was selected to be involved in the drafting of key pieces of national legislation, including the Public Service Labor Relations Act, the New Labor Relations Act, and clauses of the Constitution relating to the Public Service Commission and Electoral Commission. She was a part-time senior commissioner of the CCMA since 1996 until her appointment to the bench. Currently, Judge Pillay is acting at the Constitutional Court. Welcome, Judge Pillay. We are so honored to have you here. And then I would also like to introduce my bosses, the Dean, Professor Yosabis Kuman. Professor Yosabis Kuman was appointed as Dean of the Faculty of Law from November 2019. She is the first woman to be appointed as Dean in the Faculty of Law after more than a century of its existence, marking her appointment as a significant milestone for the faculty. Prof. Skuman has degrees from University of Pretoria and also at Yunus. But she has been around because she has taught, I think, in more than 3 jurisdictions, and she came, including Auckland, New Zealand, University of Auckland in New Zealand, but she came back and joined us after those stints, and we're happy to have you here, Professor Skuman. And then my second boss, the Deputy Dean, Professor Charles Maimela. Professor Maimela also has a significant appointment because he is the first Black person to be appointed as Deputy Dean and the youngest to ever occupy this position in over a century of the existence of the faculty. He holds LLB, LLM, LLD from UNISA, and he specializes in medical law, African customary law, and religious systems. Welcome, Professor Maimela. We are also happy that you were able to join us this late afternoon. And then our honorees, Mankue Caroline Letswalo has an LLB from University of Pretoria. That's why I'm saying that we have 3 awards this year at UP, and is currently an LLM student at the University of Free State. And then we have Zenia Pero, who holds an LLB from University of Pretoria, and she also has done LLM in Socio-Economic Rights Program, also at University of Pretoria. And she's currently a pupil in the Johannesburg bar. And then we have Sohila, who holds LLB and LLM from University of Pretoria and is a clerk at the Constitutional Court. Welcome to all of you, and we are very proud of you. So right now, I am going to give the floor to our keynote speaker, Judge Pillay. Judge Pillay, over to you.
Sorry about that. Thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you for hosting not just this event, but the whole program at the University of Pretoria. You have been such a support from the time that you became aware of it, and under the leadership of Professor Berain, who I remember, persisted in getting students to write creatively and progressively so that this project can continue. But the project itself is a medium through which what we hope to achieve, and that is to bed down and to galvanize transformation in a very concrete way. And so you've given a very good background to the project, but let me fill in a few gaps here and there. I have to make one correction. Pretoria University did not renew my professorship after several extensions. It somehow fell between the cracks, but I am happy to say that the University of Free State has picked me up and restored my my well-being and participation in public affairs at an academic level. But it's made no difference. I continue to work with the professors at Pretoria University. Pretoria University has, like the University of KwaZulu-Natal, UCT, and the University of Free State, which has recently come in with its first awardee, the joint award, have been very helpful in advancing human rights, particularly. So one of the gaps that I wanted to fill in was that the idea for the project emerged not from me. So I must disown any or disclaim any virtue or accolades you may bestow as a result of this project being on its feet. My friends, the late Cham Govender and his wife, Maggie Govender, Maggie in particular, were attending the memorial lecture for the Victoria and Griffiths Mthenge at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And she said, why don't I give an award? Now that dog of mine, just one second. Shush. Why don't I give an award in the name of Yunus, as other people in the community were giving awards at the function. And it happened there and then that I decided to give this award. And the inspiration and the stimulation for it comes from who the Mthenge family was. They were lawyers in the struggle for human rights, and who Yunus Mahomed was, and what our background is in the struggle for democracy. Yunus, as you know, if you've read the website, you will know that he was deeply involved in the political organizations, but cut his teeth in community organizing. Organizing at the level of mobilizing households to recognize what their hardships were, to be able to articulate them for themselves, so that they could then advance their own interests rather than being told what their interests are, rather than being led and in fact possibly misled by people who had their own interests to promote. So there's a very fundamental approach to organizing communities towards transformation. And the idea of the writing award was that if you can write, well, if you can think, and if you can articulate what you think, and you can communicate that in writing and with precision, then you might take an interest in how to implement what you think and write into practice, into the praxis of organizing communities to be more than they are, to be able to claim their rights as beneficiaries of our Constitution. So that was the idea. And as you can see from the awards that we've given, the topics that we've acknowledged, they are very clearly heading in that direction. The interest in transformation and constitutional transformation has been growing, and I can see the evolution of articles as this project unfolds. And well, we started in 2013, and there's some remarkable people who came through that project. Let me say what I should have said up front, and that is to thank Professor Elsabe Skuman for giving us Zozo to lead and take over from Andre. She is such a star, on the ball always. So the beneficiaries are also remarkable people. You've heard that Sohela is now a clerk at the Constitutional Court. The other awardee also from UP, who wrote on hate speech, and the Constitutional Court recently delivered a judgment on hate speech in the case of Kwelane, and that is Nicholas Hurd. He was actually also the national winner of the award last year. It's remarkable also that we're able to run the program through COVID and without interruption. In fact, we probably, for the first time, had every university making a submission. Let me not stop there. Kika Musa from the University of KwaZulu-Natal was the first awardee for an article that he published in a journal of national circulation. And he also won and he was the only submission the following year, and he was again the winner. But he has made a name for himself recently by being the attorney who applied and successfully for the removal of the Chief Justice, or the setting aside of the appointment of the Chief Justice in Zimbabwe. So, and then UCT had an awardee the year before, and for an article in Muslim News, and that is an ongoing struggle. Sharia law and Sharia marriages is an ongoing struggle, which, as you know, has had another showing in the Constitutional Court, and the judgment is awaited. So these are very progressive topics, very current topics, and I'm so happy that young people, competent, capable thinkers in the new generation are actually taking up these issues. I'm not the show here today. Suela is, and so are Caroline and Xenia. So I'm not going to take up the show, but I do want to conclude by mentioning, and this is my mantra, mentioning the name of Paulo Freire, Freire, and the books that he's written, which were lessons for us that we used in our organizing capabilities and planning. The title of the first book that was very instrumental was Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It's available online, and what it talks about is how activists, how the intellectual people from universities can make themselves conduits or instruments of change, and how you take those ideas that you learn at the university. We have the topic of decolonization of the LLB curriculum. How do you take it into the communities? How do you take the idea that Sohela proposes, that capitalism is not working for South Africa? How do you take that to the communities? So Pedagogy of the Oppressed is one of the books. The other is Pedagogy of Hope. So with that, let me say thank you for hosting us and congratulations to the awardees.
Thank you so much, Judge Pillay. The short speech was very interesting and inspirational, especially the last part where you are telling us that we need to put the law in action. So I am sure that our honorees will be able to do that, because if you read their articles, you can actually see that they are putting that law into action. They are not just absorbing what they were told in class. They are actually thinking about things. So thank you very much for that. And it's a pity you are no longer our extraordinary professor, but UFS is lucky to have you. Now, I'm going to give it to the honorees to tell us a little bit about themselves and to also tell us about their articles, what their thinking was when they were writing this article. So we're going to start with Sohela, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as you've heard, my name is Sohela, and I am a law clerk currently at the Constitutional Court of South Africa under Justice Madlanga, where I'm having the most incredible time learning about the law and about transformation and various other principles from people who I admire immensely. And the article that I wrote focused on sort of the intersection between substantive equality and the prohibition on unfair discrimination and poverty. I somehow stumbled across a case in which a court found that poverty was an analogous ground on which discrimination was prohibited. And that was in the context of the deployment of police resources to poor and predominantly Black and colored areas in the Western Cape. And while I am not necessarily the biggest supporter of the police being rolled out in poor areas, I did think that it was a judgment that could have such great potential in a country where one of the greatest lines that divides us is class and poverty. And so I did some exploration in the article on how far we could possibly extend that judgment. And I conclude that this judgment could be of immense value in attempting to get the state to equitably deploy resources to various communities in South Africa, but that it's also a limited principle in a country, in a capitalist country, in which poverty and what you have or do not have is a business model, essentially. It's what our economy thrives on. And so I think it leaves a great deal of space for us to now start thinking about, if we do truly care about prohibiting unfair discrimination, and if we do truly care about substantive equality on the grounds of poverty, then can we be content with living in a capitalist state? And my answer, in case you haven't guessed, would obviously be no. But it's something that I've been thinking quite a lot about, and I'm so grateful that I was able to write on it. I actually wrote the article as an assignment for an elective I was doing in my final year. And I think that says so much about the various people I'm so grateful for today, to the faculty, obviously, for giving me the chance to do electives that focus on topics like that, and to write on topics that I cared very much about, and to support me through that process. To the faculty also for running the Pretoria University Students' Law Review, which was where I was published and where I think so many students get the opportunity to be published, which so many of us don't have access to or wouldn't have access to otherwise. And then, of course, to Giso Capital and to the Yunus Mahomed Prize for thinking that the article was worth engaging with. I'm very, very grateful and very honored, and I hope that as as we move forward and with the efforts of all of the people who I've just thanked, we can have more scholarship and thinking and engaging on topics like these. And I'm sure that we will.
Thank you so much, Soela. And I must tell you that, and the audience out there, that the articles were read by academics from the 4 universities, including Judge Pillay. So they were read by this panel or committee. They looked at them, it was competitive, and we saw that your article means something and you really thought things through. So congratulations again, and thank you for your words. So I'm gonna call upon the joint winners. Let's start, I'm going with alphabet. So we'll start with you, Mankua.
Hello, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Prof. Zozo. First, I'd like to thank Prof. Bahrain. It was 2019 in my final year that he called me up to his office. And it was after I was having conversations with him about the transformation curriculum and the khotlas that we had in the law faculty. So he called me in and he gave me the faculty driver, the one that was drafted by some academics in the jurisprudence department and some of my fellow students. And he said, Caroline, the annual SALDA conference is coming up in July and it's being held in Venda. And I would like you to come up with a paper which you're going to present. Look far. I went back to my department, the jurisprudence department. That's where I got my friend, my colleague, and my comrade, and said, come, let's write something. And when this paper started, I was back home in Limpopo in Zenina, and she was in Pretoria. So this was done remotely. Funny enough, it was pre-COVID, but we already knew what's up. When I got the inspiration was starting with curricula, I could not help but get the lyric from Afela Kute when he says, teacher, don't teach me nonsense. And that is the inspiration that I got when I started with the process of how we can actually transform curricula and start having meaningful conversations about decolonization. And it was initially a conference paper that we put up. It was very short, shorter than it is, or the completion of it. And I remember it was such a breeze and it just flew. Everything was just flowing. And we presented the paper in the University of Venda at the School of Law. And the conference was head by Tsepo Madlingozi, Prof. Tsepo Madlingozi. He was the keynote speaker there, and it was with all the law faculties in South Africa. Every faculty had a student. And from that, a special edition of the PLSR was then on the talks after dinner. And I remember it was a prof, I think it's Miss Lansik from the University of Venda, who then said she will champion this special edition that pays specific homage to SALDA and what the papers the students were able to produce. Just to also just finish off by thanking some few people, I'd like to thank the late Prof. Haynes. Before we could submit the conference paper, I sent it to him, he gave it a read and he gave it a thumbs up. I'd like to thank my supervisor, Prof. Karin van Marle, who actually nominated me for this award along with Zenya and Professor Brandt. And it's an honor that I'm the first awardee from the University of the Free State. I think me and Judge Pillay have something in common from the move to the University of Pretoria to the University of Free State. And yes, I'd just like to thank everyone. And thank you guys for honoring the paper. And I hope this gives a young female law students to start writing more. Your thoughts matter. There is a lot of support in the University of Pretoria. The academics will support you, and but we're also here to listen to your thoughts and put it in writing. And yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mahomed. That was very thoughtful. And yes, at UP, especially the Department of Jurisprudence, where I came from about a month ago, is very yeah, it does think about that song by Fela Kuti that says, "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense." And when I teach, it always is at the back of my mind, so that I make sure that I don't teach nonsense. but but thank you so much, and I hope you are enjoying yourself at UFS. But they are never going to be us. And right now, I would like to call upon Zenia to please give us your response as well and tell us about yourself and what was your thinking, etc. Thanks.
Thank you, Prof. Zozo, and hello, everyone. My name is Zenia, and as that has been introduced, I'm currently a pupil at the Johannesburg Society of Advocates, did my BA Law, LLB, and LLM at UP, and the only reason I am here is because Caroline asked me to write with her. I was an academic associate in the Department of Jurisprudence, of course, at the time that Caroline got this brief, let's say, to talk about the drivers that is unique to the University of Pretoria. And at that time, I remember our faculty was also undergoing a transformation of our curriculum specifically. There was like a meetings happening for a new curriculum in 2020. And in Jurisprudence 310, where I was the AKM, there was a lot of talk about the differences between transformation and decolonization. And I had started to realize that people sort of try to see them as the same thing. And they are, in a sense, which is what we said in our paper, but they're also very different and have very different meanings behind the words that we attach to them. And it's funny that Judge Pillay mentioned Paulo Freire, because in our office, we had a quote on the wall. I pulled it up earlier. Liberating education consists in acts of cognition, not transferals of information. So in all of this, I had then been thinking of how white students at historically white universities responded to things that Black students asked for. This was during Fees Must Fall when I was a student, but also in Jurisprudence 310, which is often a very contentious subject, where very difficult topics about race and the law and history and conquest are really unpacked for the first time in the law faculty at that extent. So I was also then reading Toni Morrison, and I feel this sort of cosmic connection happening because she also passed away later in 2019 after Caroline and I had extensively dealt with this metaphor of the white gaze, which simply put is just that the person that you are, especially if you are a white person, will affect how you perceive other people because of inherent biases that you have, because of how you have been educated, how the system keeps you sort of complicit. So when students would come, or even when your friends would come and ask you something, it would really take a lot for white academics and for white students to see the need for it or to want to participate in it at all. And I thought that the sort of tension or apprehension to transformation and decolonization stemmed sort of from that metaphor at historically white universities. And all of my credit goes to the Department of Jurisprudence for fostering an environment in which I could think about things like that, and it is related to the law, where we are sort of encouraged to freely express these sort of things that all of us struggle with or try to figure out. The Department of Jurisprudence helping students to have these writing opportunities. Also because, funny enough, Nicholas Hurd, the previous year's winner, also got this idea from something that he had written for his Jurisprudence 310 assignment when I was the AKM. So the value of that department and the work that they do and how they push students cannot be overexpressed. But also to the Yunus Mahomed Public Interest Award, the whole body having a platform to have these things out there, to say that students have things that they want to say is also invaluable. And I think, yeah, I think that's it. Also, thank you, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Zinia, for your response, and congratulations once again. I'll make sure to tell Professor Joel Modiri, who's the current HOD, that you have said nice things about the Department of Jurisprudence. And I spent 12 months there, and I have learned a lot from my colleagues there. And I think I have been changed just for that 12 months of being there, and also for teaching jurisprudence courses. So I know exactly what you mean when you say you had that space where you were able to express what you think about the law. And also I've heard from Mrs. Slabet that you were the AKM there. She was very excited to know that you have won this prize. So congratulations once more. I just want to say something about what our students have won, or just say something about the prize. So the prize, there are 3 categories. One is if a student has published in an acknowledged peer-reviewed journal, like the Pretoria Student Law Review, they get 5,000 rands. If you are a joint award, obviously you get half of that. So that's what Sohila got, the 5,000 rand, because she published in that journal, and Zinia and Caroline jointly getting 5,000 rand, which is 2,500 rands each. But also if a student publishes in a newspaper or practice journal with national circulation, they will get 3,000 rands, because it's not it's not peer reviewed, but it has national circulation. And then the overall winner, or what we call the national award, will get 10,000 rands. So I just wanted to make sure that if in our audience, students who would like to enter this competition in future, they know that there is some monetary award other than being led to speak your mind, so to speak. So now I'm going to call upon my boss, Professor Skuman, to please give us her response, or to give a congratulatory speech to our winners. Thank you.
Zozo, if I may just interrupt for a moment to just remind everybody that we've added another layer to the competition. So the topics that people have written on so far are topics of their own choice. The add-on is that people must write towards a preset topic. And so the preset topic is business as usual, question mark, for the current year. It's a national prize of 10,000 rands, and it's all 4 universities participate. Thank you for that interruption.
Thank you, Judge Pillay. Thank you so much. And I'm sure my students in the audience have heard what they need to do. So we'll be waiting for those papers. Thank you. Over to you, Prof. Skuman.
Thank you very much, Professor Diani Mango. Good evening to everybody. I think it's evening by now, and a special word of welcome to you, Justice Pillay. We can never thank you enough for being so instrumental in establishing this award and pursuing it, through your endeavors and with lots of energy and commitment, I have to say. Of all the people that have been introduced tonight, Professor Diani Mango, Zozo, you have not introduced yourself properly, and so I will just rectify that first before I proceed. So Professor Diani Mango, we poached her from WITS just over a year ago, and she seems to have settled in very well at UP, and she is carrying the flag for us. She was recently appointed as the first Black full professor HOD of the Department of Public Law at the University of Pretoria. And so congratulations again, Zozo. That is a huge achievement in our faculty, and we are so happy to have you. We had to pull you out of the Department of Jurisprudence. So I hope you're not too sad about that, but I'm sure that you will carry those values throughout the rest of the faculty. And it is wonderful to have you on the faculty's management team. When I became dean, late 2019, I said to someone the other day, I only had 4 months of normality, and 2 of those were December and January, when, nothing much goes on. And then COVID struck. And I remember the first time I spoke to you, Justice Pillay, I was actually quite overwhelmed, by the enormity of this task of this award and managing it. And I very soon realized that I have so much on my desk as a new dean. I had to learn so much, and I would need someone dedicated just to this. And so fortunately, as soon as Zozo was appointed, I started thinking about this. And one day I took her for lunch and I explained everything. And I said, Zozo, I really want you to take charge of this, because it was just when you also introduced the new topic that students will be writing about. And I thought that to do justice to this initiative, we need a dedicated person in the faculty. And so thank you again, Zozo, for taking that on as a new staff member and for making such a huge success of it. Thank you very much. I know there will be a thank you message later, but while I'm on this, I also just wanted to thank the people in the faculty, Professor Magnus Killander, Ms. Primrose Kurasha, and also Ms. Ilana Leroux. They've all worked on the Pretoria Student Law Review and the vetting of the articles, and they made a huge contribution, just deciding upfront which should be submitted. So thank you very much for your endeavors as well. And then to the winners tonight, I would like to congratulate all 3 of you. As you would have seen on our website, in the article written by LZ on the website, it's quite appropriate that this function should be during Women's Month, and that we should have 3 female winners this year round. So very happy about that. But I want to congratulate you on tackling those hard topics, those very relevant issues. And when I look at the first one, Suela, writing about poverty as a ground of discrimination. We all know that during COVID, the inequalities have been exposed mercilessly and relentlessly. And so it is so good that you've been writing about exactly that. Poverty is a scourge in our society, and if it's around us every day. And it's quite ironic that this actually originated from a set of facts concerning the police, because I cannot agree more with you on that one. But it also shows that even out of a situation such as that, good thoughts can come out of that. And I really want to congratulate you on writing such a brilliant article to make us think. It's so thoughtful and insightful, and it is thinking on a higher level. And that is really what this award wants to stimulate amongst our young students, is to write about those issues, to put it into words and to debate those issues. So congratulations on having done so well. Then on the other article, Caroline and Xenia, very, very well done. And again, a very topical topic, if one can put it like that, because at the moment we have just relaunched the curriculum transformation on the University of Pretoria campus, and it is being spearheaded by the Deputy Dean, Professor Charles Maimela. And I'm sure that we will also draw from this article your thoughts, your ideas, your perspectives. We will use that in this relaunch of the curriculum transformation project, the whole debate about the decolonization of the LLB curriculum. It is a huge contribution to what we are currently doing on campus. And I want to congratulate you on that. And I also want to thank you for focusing on those areas where we really need the young voices to speak. And we need those voices to speak also through writing and through debating. So thank you very much for lighting those fires, lighting those flames. We are really looking forward to see where your careers will go. It was very interesting to hear from you, Justice Pillay, just where the winners of this award have gone. And it is amazing to see the impact that they have already had. And so we are watching with great interest, no pressure, but we know you will be out there. You will be our future leaders in thought, and please never stop thinking, never stop reading, never stop writing. We are counting on you to make the future of this country a bright one. Congratulations once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Skuman, our Dean. And thank you for your kind introduction. I didn't expect it, but your message was very inspirational, and I'm sure that our students or any student who's watching in the audience today inspired, and they will want to be like our students who have won this award this year. So we thank you so much for that. And last but not least speaker, I would like to call on my second boss, Professor Charles Maimela, to conclude and give a vote of thanks. Over to you, Prof. Maimela. Yeah. Prof. Maimela, are you around? I see my face. Is Prof. Maimela here? Unmute yourself, please, Prof. Okay, it seems like Prof. Maimela has an issue. So I guess I will have to stand in and thank everyone. Are you trying to unmute yourself, Prof. Maimela? Anyway, so to continue with the program, I would like firstly to thank our honorees for gracing us with their presence. We thank you for putting the flag of the University of Pretoria's law faculty up there. We are very proud of you, and we are really, really grateful. As you can see, we have all these articles about you, and we are going to continue to praise you. Please make sure that whatever is happening in your lives, you let us know, because you are always going to be family at the University of Pretoria's law faculty.
Can you hear me, Professor Gianni Mango?
Thank you.
Okay. Apologies. I have technical difficulties on my end, but I saw it. I think my video won't be able to play, but thank you very much for the opportunity, as well as for Justice Gianni Pillay, as well as the various recipients of tonight's various awards, as well as to the Dean of the Faculty, Professor Elsa Biskuman, and also thank you for your warm welcome to me. I hardly get to be welcomed in events. I always welcome people. Those are the joys of being Deputy Dean. You welcome people. You hardly get welcomed. But thank you very much. And today, this evening in particular, I was a little bit emotional when I see the three recipients that in such a short span of time in their respective careers that have made great strides. And then these are the colleagues, or now which I refer as colleagues, which I have taught when I arrived at UP, most all of them, I think, and I've interacted with all of them, particularly with regards to moot courts, as well as with regards to their studies. But most importantly, in the lectures which I've interacted with them, I always instilled this value that in the legal fraternity, you earn your strides. And I see them earning their strides with these awards, as well as engaging robustly in legal matters with the whole aim of resolving societal problems. And as law academics, we need to also start to instill in our students that law itself is a social being. It's aiming to resolve societal problems in order to make society a better place for all to live in it. And those are some of the values in my readings of Yunus Mahomed he was striving for in attaining issues of a transformation, among other things. And as the Dean has already alluded to these aspects, and I liked what Caroline has quoted with regards to Felekute, where students are very important in our teaching and learning mechanisms, where Felekute himself, the Nigerian singer, said clearly to his teachers that teacher, do not teach me nonsense. And this shows the importance of students with regards to issues of curriculum transformation, among other things, that they're an important stakeholder and play a critical role in shaping our curricula for the betterment of society, as well as for the betterment of the entire world, among other things. And also one thing which I've seen and heard from our recipients this evening is they are giving too much glory to one department. I want to warn them to say we have 5 academic departments, and we will then, in the retreat which we are going to have on Wednesday, will start encouraging the 4 that they need to start to also catch up to the leading department of jurisprudence, where critical thinking and robust debates are some of the things which are championed in that division. So it's important also that the other departments also take into account such debates as well as deliberations into their curricula, as well as into their teaching practices on a daily basis. But one thing which I would also like to say is, as a faculty, we take full responsibility to ensure that this award and other awards which we are involved in, we need to ensure that we give it greater exposure going forward, so that we encourage all our students from all levels the importance of critical writing, engagements, as well as debates, because language is fundamental for you as a lawyer. You won't be able to practice law or be in academia if you are unable to speak, to read, as well as to write. So these are the tools which we need to start to encourage our students, as well as to encourage them, even though now we are still operating under COVID times, but it's a great opportunity that we spread the word and spread it as wide as we can to our students, as well as to get greater participation among our students. So those are some of the challenges which us as a faculty of law will be able to take forward to ensure that we have an inclusive approach with regards to these awardees. But last but not least, from my side, we are very much proud of the colleagues who have won the various awards, and also they also have to, I always say this, and I've in the bursary committee in particular, that our graduates in particular, we need to start at a young age to give to teach them the aspects of giving back. I give a challenge to them as well this evening to say you need to give back not only the prize money, but also you can give back issues of your time to the younger students, so that you assist them with review of their work, to assist them with writing, to assist them with critical thinking, as well as critical debates, among other things. So the whole aim is that we are in a race and a marathon. We need to hand over the baton to each other, because the journey of life is too long. So it's important as well to the 3 recipients this evening that please give back and look back and say we are giving back to those who are coming right after us, to ensure that the university, as well as the aspects of teaching and learning, becomes a better place as we understand the socioeconomic aspects of our country. But once more, I'd like to echo the sentiments of the Dean. A warm congratulations to the recipients, and we hope to interact with them soon. And most importantly, we hope to recruit them back to academia very soon, so that they are able to join us in the academic sphere. Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much to our Deputy Dean, Professor Maimela. Thank you to everyone. And yes, of course, there's also the Department of Public Law that you can also talk about in future. But thank you to the audience. Thank you, Judge Pillay. Thank you, Dean, Deputy Dean. Yes.
And just one person who holds the show together and has done so for years is Rose Mashlope. She is the star of the show, and she is just goes about her business very quietly. So Rose, thank you for holding us together, holding the project together. And thanks to Kagiso Capital for putting up the finances for the awards, and for hosting the project on its website.
Thank you, Judge Pillay. Indeed, thank you, Rose, so much. You might be quiet, but we see your work. So thank you very much. And thank you for everyone. And I'm right on time. So have a really good evening until next time when we win again. Maybe we'll win the national prize this next year. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
And
Bye-bye.
good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, colleagues. Good evening.